Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here. The long awaited and much anticipated trailer for Spider Man No Way Home. Welcome to A Bearded Perspective. I am your host, SuperBeard, where we're going to review movies, trailers, and so much more. And this time we're talking about arguably the most anticipated trailer, a trailer that, for lack of a better term, was near riot levels with fans and is to something they wanted to see. And it's been a long time coming, and here it is. Now, before we begin, I, for one, would like to say that I was actually part of the we don't need a trailer train. And I still believe that. There were some things shown in this trailer that might have given a little away too much. But, as I digress from that point and we move forward, let's break down the trailer, shall we? So first off, it looks like we pick up where we left off at the end of Far From Home. Peter has had his identity just thrown out there to the world, and he has been framed for the murder of Mysterio. And although we do see Peter get arrested, there's the helicopter scene where he's swinging away and they surround him, and then we see him in handcuffs being interrogated. And there's even what seems like maybe a court scene where he's going to court. I think that this is going to really pick up after the events of that. It's really going to be more about he's acquitted, and now people just know him, and now he's famous in all the ways he doesn't want to be. So, in a moment of desperation, Peter goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to, reverse time to before people knew that he was Peter Parker, to before the time that Mysterio put that out there. Now, this is a little reminiscent of the much maligned comic book art called One More Day. In this story, it comes after the comic book Civil War story where Peter had openly admitted who he was to the public in a press conference. A sniper tries to take him out, but he moves and Aunt May gets hit instead. He tries to get people to help him. Nobody will help him. He finally gets approached by Mephisto. And Mephisto says, "I'll save your aunt, and I'll even wipe the memory of everybody on the planet that they know who you are. They'll no longer know your identity. But you got to give me something in return." That thing he wants is the love between Mary Jane and Peter Parker. He takes their marriage, their love. They have no memory or anything of each other. So they spend one more day together. And it seems like this story might be loosely based on that, even though we have Doctor Strange instead of Mephisto. Mephisto and Spider-Man confirmed. Now, actually, I do have a crazy theory about that, and I'll do a separate video on it, but let's not jump the gun now, shall we? So it looks like Doctor Strange... Or is it Doctor Strange? It's Doctor Strange. But Peter goes to him, and Doctor Strange offers up a spell that would wipe the memory of everybody. But as Peter realizes during the spell that, wait a minute, you said everybody. That includes MJ, Aunt May, Ned, Happy. It's too much. So in his doubt, he distracts Doctor Strange enough that the spell goes haywire, and this seemingly opens up the multiverse. And we'll get back to that in a minute. But first, let's talk about the fact that we got some really cool reveals. The main reveal being that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is seen at the end. It's a nice little "Hello, Peter," and we see the arms and everything, and it's really cool. We also, although we didn't see him on screen, we pretty much got confirmation that Willem Dafoe will also be in this film. Because we got a nice goblin bomb, and then a very signature laugh. Now, the only confirmations we really had for this film, besides, Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch and the returning cast from the other movies, was Alfred Molina, who kind of spoiled things. And then we also had Jamie Foxx, who has said he was going to be in it as Electro, except he won't be the same version. He won't be blue. And I think we got hints to him as well with the yellow lightning that we saw. So that was cool to see that a much more maybe comic accurate Electro. Maybe they're going to go with the green and yellow, which would be cool. So that would be interesting to see as well. Now, there are a few other scenes that point to other villains as well. There's like the scene where Peter is suddenly scared by something in the dark, and there's a large hulking figure, something very big, in the background. Now, some have speculated that this is Tom Hardy's Venom. I don't believe so. I think it's actually the Lizard from the first Amazing Spider-Man film. Unfortunately, there's no way really to tell because it's a very quick, blink and you'll miss it kind of scene at the moment. But we'll go from there and see what happens. I'm still on the lizard team though here. I don't think it's Venom. But going back to the lightning scene, there is also something. It seems like a almost humanoid large amount of sand. This humongous, ginormous pile of sand that's almost got a shape of a human to it. So that could lead to confirming the rumors that Thomas Hayden Church would also be returning. So between that and then the rumors of Michael Keaton's Vulture and possibly Mysterio returning, it does look like we might be getting a Sinister Six in this film. Which I think at this point, if you're going to bring in a couple villains, you might as well bring in six and make a Sinister Six because it just makes the most sense. You don't want to bring in a couple and continue this multiverse thing for very long in multiple films. You're going to kind of want to wrap this up in this film. So having the Sinister Six from multiple universes is going to, I think, be pretty cool. So we don't really know any of that kind of stuff until we either get another trailer, which honestly we don't need another one. That's enough. That should appease everybody until December. We're only a couple months away. But we're most likely going to get more trailers, so maybe we'll see a little bit more, maybe a couple more teases. I just don't want the film ruined, you know what I mean? I don't want the film going into it knowing everything already. The rumors are bad enough, and having to cover all this stuff, I kind of can't miss it. And now I'm spouting it all to you, so now you can't miss it. But the rumors are out there for everybody to see. Hopefully this film doesn't get ruined by the trailers in an attempt to deal with the rumors. Just keep it vague and keep it open. Now, I will say, and this will lead into my theory video, which will be up later today, Doctor Strange kind of seemed like he was almost gaslighting Peter at one point, basically saying it was his fault for wanting to live two lives, that the whole multiverse broke apart. But let's think about the timeline here. This takes place after Far From Home. Far From Home took place 8 months after the Endgame. The snap in Endgame. So after his return in Endgame, we have this, Far From Home. Now this is supposed to take place. The film should start immediately after the end of Far From Home, where his identity is revealed, and then the first few minutes of the first act, should deal with his dealing with the cops, dealing with court, being proven innocent, whatever. And then this should be a couple months after that. So we're talking about a year after Endgame. But the multiverse broke free long before that. Marvel has kind of confirmed that Loki, the multiverse breaks free. And that seems to correlate with around the time of WandaVision. Now, the only caveat to that is it correlates more with the WandaVision after credit scene. So we actually don't know how long she was in that cabin reading the Darkhold and learning more about herself and her powers. So it could have been a year's time, but it seemed to be that everything lined up to be just weeks after. Which is where I thought that the reason that Peter bought the multi-theory idea for Mysterio and the reason that S.H.I.E.L.D. bought the multi-theory idea of Mysterio was that the multiverse had already started to creep in and it was something that was now coming to light. Apparently that may not be the case. So this film, we're going to have to see how it breaks free, but stay tuned for my crazy theory video coming up very soon. As always, please like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on the trailer. Also, don't forget, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, live, we go on Twitch, twitch.tv/2geeksandanooob, spelled out. You can see us record our podcast live. You can comment and join in on the fun. And if you can't do that, the podcast always goes up on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, iTunes, all the places you can find podcasts, whether it be audio or video. It goes up every Thursday at noon Eastern. So, again, please like and subscribe. Make sure you turn that notification bell on so you know whenever we post new videos. And we appreciate you very much. Stay swinging, guys.